Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. The gatekeepers for the Obama administration are gone. The swamp is being drained. And guess what? That means we're now going to get to see a lot of the corruption of the previous regime. And you're seeing it now, folks. Welcome to the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, where you can find out more about us each and every day. Listen 24/7 on demand. You can get us by the drink. You can get the whole show. It doesn't matter. Segment you like, find it there. And let me tell you, I believe we have some of the most amazing insights of any radio show. That's why I do this. So I hope you check it out. The world, folks, is getting to see how corrupt the Obama administration is. And let me tell you what's going to happen as you find out more and more and more. The left are going to cry persecution. They're persecuting us. Why are they bringing up this nuclear Iran deal with Hillary Clinton, and knowing that the memos were done prior to this, and they knew it was a crooked deal to give $143 million back to the the Clinton Foundation, that crooked RICO extortion racket that was allowed to run because Barack Obama owed Hillary Clinton a favor, and all the different things that were going on there. And what about James Comey? What we're finding out about him, he had preemptively given freedom to Hillary Clinton, who should be in prison right now, but he preemptively gave her freedom. And what about Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the Alwan brothers? And now they're about to turn state's evidence over on her and her crooked dealings, and who knows what secrets got sold when these guys stole things out of our, the State Department servers and what have you. I mean, it's just a cesspool of crookedness. And they're going to say, persecution, man. And then after they accuse us of trying to pile on, they're going to say, he's trying to destroy the Barack Obama's good legacy. Barack Obama had the scandal-free, administration, blah, blah, blah. So they'll cry persecution. And then when we don't buy the Persecution Act, then they're going to say the reason why he's being persecuted is because of racism. That's right. They're going to bring out the old racism card, pull it out of the wallets. Oh, they don't need to dust it off. It's always out there. It's worn. You can't even tell. What is that you're showing me? Is that a racism? Oh, okay, I think I can see is. Looks like is. Is that the definition of is? Yeah, I can see something on your card that's faded out. You've been using it so much. So they'll cry racism. Donald Trump's after Barack Obama because he doesn't like Barack Obama's legacy and all this. And then we're going to get some ridiculous stuff on the left. They're going to tell you that Barack Obama is envied by Donald Trump. In fact, that's already started. So we're down the cycle a little bit on this. And let me just let you hear this.
I don't think it's. Hold on. I don't think it's inexplicable. I think it's have you met people that study you? Like when someone, you cannot buy, no matter how much money you have, billions of dollars if you access, you can't buy class. Right. President Obama, whatever you think of his politics, is a very classy man. He's a smart man. He's one of the kindest people you ever want to meet. He and his wife are. So, and I'm not talking about politics, having met them and knowing them. You can't teach that. That's something you cannot teach. And I think that is something that this president is jealous about. He doesn't have those qualities. Even with all of the money in the world, it's just not there. That's not something.
Has Don Lemon seen My Fair Lady? What do you mean you can't teach class? That's too funny. And what's funny is their definition of class. Barack Obama, I don't know if you've seen the video where he's on a plane and he's showing off an erection to his adoring staffers. Yeah, that's classy. Barack Obama's a classy liar. He's a classy narcissist. He's a person that exudes the idea of class while in fact being very classless. And so is his wife. And if you want to talk about teaching class, that's exactly what they did. They got handlers. I mean, these fools. But I don't know if you guys know how bad it was during the time of Obama. They spent $630,000 in the State Department trying to get State Department likes on Facebook. I mean, $630,000 of your hard-earned tax dollars went to Zuckerberg because the State Department needed to get more likes. That's just how ridiculous our government became under Barack Obama. But now Don Lemon wants you to believe a guy whose father could loan him $1 million. He takes $1 million and makes it into whatever number of billion that you can argue about. Is it 3 billion? Is it 10 billion? It's billions. And he's essentially a billionaire playboy, and he's going to take the life of Barack Obama, a bisexual lunatic, idiot moron who lucked up and became president because of his conniving ways and a much too complicit leftist group of racists who decided he was the appropriate Negro to put into office. Now that's where we are. He's jealous. Yeah, jealous of what? Jealous of Barack Obama's boyfriend? Jealous of what? Donald Trump couldn't live in Hawaii? No, because Barack Obama's got class. Really? Where's all that class? The only time Barack Obama was said to have class was when he spoke at the 2004 convention and had to borrow bum money to get a ride, taxi money home. And then the left just elevated him into superstar status, which he completely blew. I mean, he's the Mookie of baseball. He's the Mookie Robinson is what I call him, not Jackie Robinson. He's the Mookie Robinson of baseball. Complete disappointment to blacks. If they stop and looked objectively at his record, there is no black person in America on the left who would look at Barack Obama and go, man, he's my hero. He's such an amazing guy. There's not a person on the planet, not a black guy. If George Bush had Barack Obama's record, black people would be, Bush, man, he didn't do nothing for us. That's exactly how they'd be. So don't talk to me about how great this guy was. That Donald Trump is envious of Barack Obama. I get the people tell me the same thing. You're envious. Envious of what? His wife? Envious of what? His children? Envious of what? That he was president? Let me tell you something. If I had wanted to be president of the United States, I would have been president of the United States. The only reason why Kevin Jackson isn't president of the United States is because I never wanted to be it. Because what I want to be, I'll accomplish. It's really that simple. I've never felt like I couldn't accomplish whatever I wanted. People ask me all the time, why don't you run for office? Because I don't want it. I would win. That's why I don't want it. Because I would win. And I would win and be mad that I won because I did it for somebody else. Oh, I did it because I want to make money, or I want to have Congress or senator in front of my name, or president. I wouldn't even run for those rinky-dink offices. I would run for governor or president. That's it. So it would either be governor or president Kevin Jackson, and I don't want it. I don't want the scrutiny. I don't want the responsibility. I love what I do. That's why I did it. Every choice I've made in life is because I chose it. So this idea that Donald Trump decided to be president, and he did it.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
I don't think it's. I will. Hold on. I don't think it's inexplicable. I think it's. Have you met people that study you? Like when you someone, you cannot buy, no matter how much money you have, billions of dollars if you access it, you can't buy class. Right. President Obama, whatever you think of his politics, is a very classy man. He's a smart man. He's one of the kindest people you ever want to meet. He and his wife are. So, and I'm not talking about politics. Having met and knowing them. You can't teach that. That's something you cannot teach. And I think that is something that this president is jealous about. He doesn't have those qualities. Even with all of the money in the world, it's just not there. That's not something.
Welcome back, everybody. Don Lemon believes Donald Trump is jealous of Barack Obama. And I say so much for white privilege then, right? When your argument is that a white billionaire mogul envies a failed black community organizer, it's difficult to argue white privilege. You cannot have your cake and eateth it too, Don Lemon. Which is it? What is there to envy? If suddenly a white billionaire president has to envy a former failed president, then how do you argue that there's white privilege? See, that's what's funny about the left. They can't really take their statements to the bitter end, because then it spirals back on them. It's actually kind of laughable to think that Donald Trump would envy Barack Obama. I mean, Donald Trump can buy and sell the fool 10 times over. He's in a position that Barack Obama said Donald Trump would never be in, which is president of the United States. I don't know about you, but if I had to pick which wife I would want, if you said, Kevin, you could take Michelle Obama or Melania Trump on a desert island, you know, that you're all that's left in the world, but you can only take one of them to be with you on your desert island, who would it be? It would not be Michelle Obama. I'll just put it that way. That I'm not casting aspersions on people. Kevin, you always talk about she's ugly. Look, look, that's in the eye of the beholder. There's nothing appealing about Michelle Obama, in my opinion. But it doesn't make her ugly. It doesn't make her pretty. That's up to you to decide. For me, there's nothing to write home about there. Melania is pretty. There's no question about it. She's elegant. She's pretty. She's classy. And I don't know how that would work out on the island, but I'd be curious to find out. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. I mean, the left don't get it. They don't understand us because they have become so twisted. I'll give you a good example of twisted. Fools in the NFL kneel. You kneel to pray. You kneel to show submission. And you should only submit to something that's greater than you. And it is a truth. A truism. So I submit. When I get on my knees, I submit to God. When you guys get on their knees and ask their, wives or, girlfriends at the time, will you marry me, on their knees, they're submitting. They're saying, you know what, I'm done with the nonsense of, chasing girls and all that. I'm submitting to you. That's what you submit to. It's something bigger than you, something where you take the selfishness out of it. Now, the left, these kneelers believe they're submitting to the idea of Black Lives Matter and cop abuse and things like this. They're submitting to a lie. But first of all, you don't submit to something like that. You stand in defiance of something like that. That's why Tommy Smith and forget the other, I can never remember his name, but Calvin. Anyway, that's why they held their fist up in the 1968 Olympics, is to stand and say, You can't treat us like subhumans when we get back to the United States and want to glorify us. Well, they were in the U.S., I believe. I think that was L.A. But you can't, treat us like we're heroes on the track and then treat us like crap when we're back in the regular general population of blacks. And they had a legitimate cause, because that's what was happening to blacks during the time. But don't try to act like, today that's what's going on. That isn't what's going on. Athletes off the field are treated as good, if not better, in the general population than they are on the field. And they make much more money. I mean, I couldn't even tell you all the things that now are available to blacks that weren't available in the 60s. We were coming through a very tumultuous time. But these guys want to still argue this, and they want to treat it as truths. Truisms. It is a lie. I'll give you some truisms that the left don't like. Caitlyn Jenner is a dude. Children can't make decisions about their gender. I don't know of a 3-year-old that knows I'm a boy or I'm a girl. Man, you might differ with me. And I'm not trying to tell you that they don't have certain feelings and emotions, but let them make that decision as an adult. I'll tell you another truism. Michelle Obama can beat up her husband. Yeah, I bet you that. Hey, here's one for you. Gay people can't marry. You can be together. You can have civil unions. You can have the equivalency of marriage, but it don't make you married, gay folks. Here's another one. Bill Clinton is a horn dog. Al Sharpton is not a reverend. There is nothing to revere about this man. I know this is one that the left won't like, but I always say it's, pardon me, so why not? Barack Obama is dumb. There's a rumor that his grades are going to be leaked, and I can't wait to see him. It's going to be yet another thing that happens during the era of Trump that destroys the Obama legacy and destroys the idea of leftism. All these people, he's brilliant, he's so smart. And you find out he's making C's and at best B's. He won't be so smart when they release his grades. I can't wait to see him. Here's another truism. Jesse Jackson is irrelevant and always has been. Here's another truism. Black leftists are the biggest racists in this country, followed closely by white leftists. You want another truism? Most of the Obama administration should be in prison. If there's anything you're going to discover in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, certainly next couple of years, is just how corrupt the Obama administration was and where it had its tentacles. Its tentacles it permeated all areas of society, healthcare, education, entertainment, you name it, perverted. And speaking of perverted, here's another truism for you. Hollywood is perverted. It is the equivalent of Sodom and Gomorrah. What's been exposed with Harvey Weinstein during the time of Donald Trump is exactly what we've been saying for decades. Do you think, folks, that it is a coincidence that all of these things are coming together in the time of Donald Trump, a guy who they told us would never win an election, who had everything stacked against him, and he won? I want you to think about that. Coming on the heels of Barack Obama, who are we supposed to elect? I guess Hillary. I mean, you're following the left's version of God, who, by the way, had become little g God by the end of it, if he was even that, which is part of the reason why Hillary Clinton didn't get elected. It's the reason why he's been marginalized. It's the reason why nobody's going to argue about killing his legacy. You want some more truisms? Academia makes snowflakes out of young adults. You want another one? Leftism kills. I talk about it all the time. They will get the military killed, they will get police killed, and they will get you killed. And they won't even think twice about it. Leftism kills. Men who change into women crush biological women in all sports. How's that for a truism? Transgenders don't need separate bathrooms. Is that a truism for you? BLM is a terrorist group founded on a lie sanctioned by Democrats. I got plenty more where this comes from, people. Kevin Jackson's who you're listening to.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
The tarmac meeting between Loretta Lynch and former President Bill Clinton was what precipitated his action of taking it essentially from DOJ. But that doesn't seem to add up.
No, the chronology does not add up. Again, May the 2nd is when they are discussing their charging decision. The meeting on the tarmac was June 26th, June 27th. So that's a month and a half later. And then a couple of days later, they interview Secretary Clinton. And then 2 days later, they decide that they're not going to charge. And he makes that public pronouncement. So his ostensible reason for taking that decision away from the Department of Justice was that meeting on the tarmac. But yet a month and a half earlier, he is memorializing a decision he's already made. So the chronology does not add up. His answers have been all over the map to both the Intelligence Committee and the clip you just played from Oversight. So we need to talk to him again, but we need to look at these memos before we have that conversation with him.
So you would like to see Comey back testifying on Capitol Hill?
For a number of reasons. He made a lot of decisions in 2016 that I think are worth reviewing. You know, Brett, whenever somebody decides to charge someone, there are lots of layers of scrutiny. When you decide not to charge someone, there aren't that many layers of scrutiny, but there ought to be at least a couple. The media should do it, but also Congress should look at this decision not to charge and whether or not it was made before you interviewed 24 witnesses, including the target of the investigation. Yeah, we need to talk to him again.
Loretta Lynch is up on the Hill Friday, we're told. Will she be asked any of this?
I don't think so. She's appearing before the House Intelligence Committee, and it will be limited to the scope of the Russia investigation, although you raise a good point. There are lots of reasons to talk to Loretta Lynch also, including to either corroborate or contradict Jim Comey's recollection that he talked to her about his decision to appropriate the Clinton server decision onto himself, but not on Friday. That will be restricted to what did Russia do and with whom did they do it.
Welcome back, everybody. That was, of course, Trey Gowdy talking about crooked James Comey, the FBI director who'd never been in law enforcement, the FBI director who had run interference for the Clintons for the better part of a decade. And where's all the clamor about Donald Trump fired FBI director, he should be impeached? You know where that's gone? It's gone into the dung heap of history because everybody knows exactly why Comey was fired. You had one of the most corrupt FBI directors, one-sided, in the history of our nation. You think Hoover was bad. Comey was a person who's supposed to have the public's best interest in mind. He's supposed to investigate people impartially. And he's doing it, providing cover for an entire administration. Between Comey and Loretta Lynch, the Clintons and the Obamas could operate with impunity. They had nothing to worry about. The Clintons set up one of the most crooked organizations known to man. And nothing's been said. Now it's starting to come out. I mean, the scandal-free administration maybe isn't quite as scandal-free as they said. We've got Debbie Wasserman Schultz and this guy Awan, the Pakistani guys who had free access to the servers. We're now understanding more about the Russian deal. We're now understanding more about Hillary's collusion with Comey, as we've just described. We're now understanding, we get redacted information about the meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch when they're talking about golf and grandchildren. So let me just put it to you this way, because I figure you may be ahead of me. If all you're talking about is golf and grandchildren, why do we get redacted data? Why do we get redacted information about what you talked about? You don't want to put, if you redact the names of the grandkids. What did they do? My grandson, Kevin Jackson, born, blah, blah, blah. I got 3 little grandkids, 2 boys and a girl. Yeah, how's the golf game? Well, I don't know. I'm still kind of, using the foot wedge every now and then or whatever. Really? What is there to redact? Why redact anything? The only reason why these clowns would redact something is because they don't want the public to lose faith in government. That's the biggest deal. Hey, let me tell you something, folks. Too late. Too late. Haven't you lost faith in government? I've lost faith that government really cares about our money and how it's spent, really cares about being good fiduciaries to the public's finances. And do you think they really care about whether or not you trust their decisions? These guys are bringing pork home. They are self-indulgent, satisfying only their constituents. And don't misunderstand me. They're there to deal with their constituents. But if something isn't in the best interest of the country, you can't selfishly say, well, I'm going to get high-speed rail for my constituents, even though I know it's a boondoggle, because I feel that way. Look, I'm not saying high-speed rail is. I'm just saying you can't make it self-serving to where it doesn't benefit the entire public. And that's what they do. But generally speaking, they don't care what you think. It doesn't matter what the project is. The only thing they care about the project is how does that project enrich them enrich their campaigns, and allow for them to continually be, in power, quite frankly. It's pretty sad. So we've got these guys colluding with the Russians. The Clintons have set up a system that allows this type of corruption to flourish. It has enriched them beyond belief. You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see the Justice Department go in and seize the assets of the Clintons. That's what I'd like to see. I bet many of you would too. I'd like to see them seize Comey's assets. I'd like to see them seize Barack Obama's assets. We have a government run amok. We have a guy who finally gets it and says, you know what? I'm going to change these things. I'm going to give you visibility into what I've been seeing as a billionaire for a long time, how the system is going against you. And we've got, I don't even think the lowest common denominator voter is against us on this. I think it's the elites that are against us on this. The very same people that allow a Harvey Weinstein to flourish, not to just do okay. This man flourished both in prosperity of money and in availability of people to whom he could, take advantage of sexually. It's unbelievable. Scandal-free. According to unredacted portions of the transcripts, it appears that in April or early May of 2016, Comey had decided he would issue a statement exonerating Secretary Clinton long before FBI agents finished their work. Remember when Comey was explaining that whatever number of FBI agents interviewed Hillary Clinton, and he was asking Congress, can we see the notes? And he says, they didn't take them. I want you to stop for 1 second and ask yourself, would you have a woman like Hillary Clinton, you want to know, the possibility of RICO fraud, racketeering, whatever and corruption. And you have the ability, you've got the linchpin of the organization there, and you don't take any notes. You don't record it, audio, you don't record video of her answers. It's just, I don't even know what they took. They just did like a summary. Okay, what were your thoughts, Bill? Well, I'm just going from memory here because I didn't take notes in the meeting. Dozens of FBI agents. I think they said in all 150 involved in the investigation. I don't know how many were in the room, but enough to be able to say, here are the notes. Here's why we made the decision. We got nothing. Bupkis. And I'm trying to figure out, how does that happen? And then Comey walked us down the trail of, well, she did, but there was no intent. And people were like, but you don't need intent. Yeah, but like I said, there was no intent. Yeah, but you don't need intent. Yeah, but still, this guy, it was almost like Comey said, how can I frame this? He spent his entire time trying to figure out how to frame it in such a way that I could make Hillary guilty without making her guilty and get over. That's what he spent his time doing. It's pretty pathetic, actually. So the Congress knew they smelled a rat. They said conclusion first, fact gathering second. That's no way to run an investigation. The FBI should be held to a greater standard than that, especially in the matter of such great public interest and controversy. This is what Graham wrote to Grassley, and committee member Lindsey Graham wrote to the FBI director Christopher Wray last month. Both those guys are right, which, I don't trust Graham, but he's right on this issue. People need to be, you can't be satisfied as an American to watch this going on and say, why aren't people in prison? And I think the best way to go after these people is freeze their assets.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson, it's the Kevin Jackson Show. It's amazing to me when I look at the news cycle and I see something being talked about that I think is completely ridiculous. That's getting so much coverage. And we have such an item right now in the news, and I want to bring it up today on the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. If you want to chime in, 844-551-8255. So apparently Donald Trump had a conversation with a Gold Star wife. That means her husband was killed in battle. And he supposedly said to her, well, he knew what he signed up for. Well, I will tell you this. Every military man that is worth his weight, worth his salt, as they say. That's exactly the way they would put it. I knew what I signed up for. I've got SEAL friends, Rangers, Airborne, you name it, Force Recon. If they die, they know. It doesn't lessen the blow, but that's not even the point. The point of it isn't even around Trump. Did he say he knew what he signed up for, etc.? The real point is, let's look at Barack Obama. I have Gold Star friends who said they have never met the president. I'm talking about like one of my friends, Debbie Lee. Debbie's son, Mark Lee, was killed. He's in almost every Navy SEAL movie. First one killed in the Middle Eastern battle for Iraq, I believe. And they made not Lone Survivor, but the Chris Kyle movie. Mark, his character is prominent in that film. Now Debbie says they misrepresented him, but regardless, he's in the film. And Barack Obama, when Mark was killed, wouldn't even meet with the Gold Star moms and sent a form letter. Now, I don't know how you feel about the military, but the guys that we train, we spend a fortune on, the Navy SEALs, the Berets, all these guys, the Green Berets, and Barack Obama can't even go meet with these women and say, I'm really sorry that you lost your son. I'm sorry you lost your husband. Wouldn't meet with them. Now, they want to compare that to the theoretical Trump said he knew what he signed up for. So supposedly Donald Trump, I want you to just think about what's happening here. Donald Trump makes a phone call to the widow of a woman whose husband was killed in action, a Gold Star wife. Mom's in the car as well, the mother or the grandmother of the man, and some other family members. They're on speakerphone, and the president is extolling he makes a personal phone call to say, I'm really sorry for what happened to you. And he's going to say something flippant, like he knew what he signed up for. Now, if he did say that, and I don't believe he did, he would have said it in context. Something along the lines of, I'm sure you know your husband, and maybe this will help you in some way, that he's a warrior and he knew what he signed up for. I could see that in context. But there is no way you're going to make Donald Trump some heartless guy who doesn't understand the impact of a woman losing her husband in battle. And he's going to be flippant. Well, he knew what he signed up for. And we are covering this as a news item. People are, the media, look at how heartless Donald Trump. Let me tell you, compare Donald Trump's care and the care of the military and feel for the military to Barack Obama's, and tell me who you would rather have as your commander-in-chief if you were in the military. The guy who cut the budget or the guy who extended the budget? The guy who actually goes and shows up and it talks about the military glowingly, or the guy who effectively represents a party that calls these men and women baby killers? This is such a ridiculous story, but it just goes to show you the level of desperation of the left. It's beyond palpable. It's in your face. The left destroy everything, folks. They can't leave anything alone. They will not rest until they feel like they've destroyed Donald Trump. And let me tell you what they did. They picked the wrong dude. I cannot be more happy. It's not about pride. Donald Trump is a man, and I'm not going to agree with everything he does. But what I will tell you is what he's able to do, and I'll take the things I don't like to a degree. Donald Trump he's got them so off kilter they don't know how to act. There were many of us who had this same feeling with Barack Obama, but Barack Obama wasn't deft enough to really be able to make hay out of it. I know they feel like he did, but he didn't. In the long run, I got to get this cord. In the long run, he hurt his party, and they know it. And so, in the long run, Donald Trump is only beginning what he said he's going to do. And in the long run, we are going to feast over the policies of this man. And I'm talking about feast for decades. The only thing we have to worry about as conservatives, to be honest with you, is do we want to turn what Trump does over to the Republicans if they haven't made the transition to becoming conservatives. If we turn what Donald Trump does over to the current group of Republicans, we will lose in the long run. But if we turn it over to conservatives, we will win. So we have 7 years to develop the next Trump. And the beautiful thing is this: we aren't trying to build a Reagan. We're trying to find a Trump. Now, that may seem antithetical. You're like, well, Kevin, what do you mean you're not? Reagan was a very polished guy. He knew how to handle me. And look, if we could find a Reagan, congratulations. We need another flawed, wealthy guy who doesn't give a crap, who can do exactly what Trump does, and who will carry the mantle forward. And if we get that for another presidential term after this, we will have turned this country around. It's only going to take that long, because you're going to have 16 years to re-indoctrinate the snowflakes and 16 years of kids that will go from cradle to college. A whole new flush. You'll be flushing these guys out. I want you to imagine what some of these little snowflakes are feeling right now as Donald Trump makes his comments. Yeah, we're going to protect our borders. We're not going to worry about these refugees. And we're going to change DACA and DOMA, all these Obama era stuff. And they're just, triggered at every turn. Oh my gosh. What's he doing? What's he doing is he's saving the republic. That's what he's doing. Right now, they're saying, oh, Donald Trump's not going to get his tax reform. Congratulations. I hope that the left feels like they've got to win. They need to start giving him what he wants. But if they want to fight him, fight him. Donald Trump will immediately do something. He'll issue an executive order that says, companies, if you've got money offshore, you can bring that money back at 15%. He's going to do something to send a shot over the bow to say, you're not going to thwart my agenda. And when like I said, guys, give it a solid year, a year and a half max, going into the midterms, and the left they're going to be wanting to anoint Donald Trump's feet with oil. You're going to watch the vitriol of the late night comedians, all of it's going to go away, and suddenly There's not going to be a whole lot to complain about. There's not going to be a lot to laugh about or try to lampoon Trump about. Alec Baldwin's going to have to go off of Saturday Night Live and go get another gig because it's going to be, what do we got to talk about? Stock market's at 24,000. Unemployment is at 4%, and there are good jobs coming. Illegal immigration is down 93%. Refugees, we haven't had any attacks. We're now deporting bad guys, MS-13. We're deporting terrorists. We're helping the Middle East set up a zone for expatriates so they can go and get settled. We've got Iran on the run. We've got the nuclear, North Korea is imploding. And blah, blah, blah. Productivity is up. Consumer confidence is up. What are you going to complain about when all that's happening? How are you going to go after this guy? It's already, guys, spend a minute and go look at what's going on in the financial markets. Go look at what's going on in consumer confidence, all these other things. The indicators of the voters, not the elites. The elites are going to sell you on whatever they want to sell you on. It's what the voters are thinking. And then look at all these scandals. Look at every one of these scandals. It's going to be not plaguing Trump. Russia has suddenly turned around. Where's Mueller? Now that we're finding all this new evidence, what do you think is going to happen to Mueller and the lie that they said the Russians influenced our elections when these guys were cutting deals for nuclear fissionable materials? Guys, you don't know how good we have it right now. Wow.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. It's convenient because it's me and then it's my show. So I got a couple things I want to discuss with you that I think are the strength. They're the craziest things. And I would say they're the craziest things I've heard since yesterday, because the left will give you craziness beyond belief. As soon as you think you've reached the depth, crazy can't go any far bottom than that. Oh, here's a story. Start digging. Crazy has no limit when it comes to leftists. So I'll give you an example of one of the things I want to discuss. And let me tell you, we can discuss cupcakes, snowflakes, uranium, and all that, and we will this hour. But I'm just telling you, this story shows you what I'm talking about. Studying depression in fish. Your tax dollars. Fish. It turns out, I'm reading from an article, it turns out humans aren't the only ones to have the blues. Fish can become depressed-like when experiencing chronic stress, according to a new study that you funded. One of my friends sent me an article, and he says, Kevin, academia is a cancer, and I'll have to read an excerpt from it. He's got a book out. And essentially he says, if you want to create a job for yourself, this is how academics do it. They say, I'm going to study depression, and I'm going to study it in some crazy animal. And then I'm going to eventually get you to pay for it. And once you pay for it, I'm going to make it an adjunct to psychology and biology, and I'll call it psychobiology. And then you'll continue to fund it. I'll become a tenured professor speaking on some nonsense thing that I created that has no bearing on life as we know it. That is exactly what we do. He does it a lot more eloquently than I do. But you gotta, when I get a chance, I'm going to get an excerpt from his book. I think he sent me chapter 14. And I'm going to play it for you. His name is Ken. And I'll play it for you. I'm going to read it to you. It's crazy. His premise is amazing, well thought out. Something that I hadn't thought about in that context. Because I would always joke and say, why do I have to take all these core classes? French Renaissance literature or art appreciation. I remember I took an art appreciation class. I'm an engineering student at the time. Math, engineering, and computer science are my degrees, electrical engineering. And they say, go take art appreciation. And I go, why? Well, it's good to be well-rounded. I can learn about art. I can go to the library and learn about art. Why am I paying $1,000 for somebody to teach me art? That's the question. That's the age-old question. I'm getting an engineering degree. Well, Kevin, you may need to understand. I get what they're saying. You need to understand it because you may program something that's artistic. It won't matter. I'll learn it at the time. My core degree is in the things I described. I need to understand the engineering, the electrical engineering, the computer science behind it, or the math. And generally, math was just, kind of a throwaway degree for most of the double E's. But that was our goal, is to be able to program so I could do hardware and software. We called it firmware at the time. But to be able to program the things that I needed to do to make my hardware work. That was what I needed. I didn't need, if they said, Kevin, you're going to be programming something or building something for an artistry company. Okay, great. No problem. I don't need to, I'm not an artist. I just need to know what you want your art to do. That's it. But so the point is, we allow these people to create these fictitious needs that don't even exist. What would college cost if you didn't have to take half the BS classes they want you to take? It would cost half, right? Yeah. And then how could they indoctrinate you if you don't have to take diversity of this, black cultural this, Native American this, women and gender this? If you didn't have to take that nonsense, then you'd just get out of college a lot faster. You'd be more productive. You'd have a smaller bill if you had to pay for it, and you'd start paying for it quicker. That's the way it would work. But they convinced you, oh, no, you're not well-rounded unless you understand gender studies. The 13 different genders that are out there, the 50-something genders, or how women have been oppressed in America, or blacks, or browns, or yellows, or whatever. That's when you become well-rounded. Because you couldn't expect to have had that experience on your own. And college certainly wasn't going to teach it to you when you came from Bodunk, Middle America, to go to New York to go to college. You're certainly not going to be experiencing diversity and multiculturalism. Now, are you? Yeah, well, maybe you will. But they don't care about that. That doesn't pay the bills. Nor does it fund the nonsense that they teach your kids. It's like cable TV. Cable TV uses these packages like football or, Major League Baseball or something, the UFC, and they say, okay, we're losing money on these classes, if you will, but these classes, these core classes, sports and, money talk and things like this, cable news, they make it. So they package it and say, you have to take this nonsense stuff in order to get the big stuff. And the big stuff is all the things you want to watch. So you then get these reading channels that every now and then, they'll go, oh, check out Ted and Todd. They're in love. You need to see gay love. It's amazing. Gay. Or there's a show on about, they follow some chick around that became a dude. And I forget the name of the show, but it's a transsexual show. Look, I get it. People, you do need at some point in your life to understand the transsexualism, asexualism, all the sexualisms that are out there. You do. But you don't need to do it at the age of 6. Okay? And by the time you do understand it, and I think there is some sensitivity that America needs that says, look, these people feel something different. A person that wants to be a transsexual, they've got to be wired differently. Don't hate on them. Don't be mad. Don't ostracize them. They feel differently and accepting of them as long as it doesn't impact legislation like Target. Oh, you got to put that bathroom in there. No, I don't. I'm not going to put a bathroom in for a transsexual. Pick your choice and go. That's that. So I get it, but we've gone over. So here's the point. Without the NFL, many of these other channels wouldn't survive. Without the core things in college, degrees in college, things like business, these other degrees wouldn't survive. These other classes wouldn't survive. But that's how liberals fund things. That's why they want you fund the arts. The government should fund the arts. No, art should fund the arts. People who love art should fund the arts. It's that simple. Anyway, we got a ton to talk about. And I didn't even get into the depression of fish, so we'll be back on that too.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So we're talking about the study of fish. They're studying depression in fish because they say fish can become depressed-like when experiencing chronic stress, and it makes them a good model for understanding and treating psychiatric problems in humans. And I thought to myself, wow, who funded this study? Here's what they went on to say about this, because I want to cover this in the context of just the craziness of leftism. In the future, we could use the fish to search for other therapies, says co-author Dr. Herwig Beyer, director of the Max Planck Institute of Neurobiology. This experiment may find drugs that act as well as Prozac or better with less side effects. So hopefully this is one of these things being studied by the pharmaceutical companies and not coming out of your budget, but you can bet either way it goes, ultimately you pay for it. Oh my gosh. Here's what really got me about this particular article. But don't get your hopes up too fast. Even if we find a drug that works in fish, we're still a long way from knowing if it will work in human patients. So you're studying something that you don't know if it'll work. Oh, by the way, you're stressing the fish out. Has anybody even told them stop stressing out the fish? It's funny. The article has one of those fighting fish. I forget what it's called, but it has all the real big little fins and stuff. Like, I don't know, like a Chinese fighting fish. It's like an Asian fighting fish. I can't remember the name of it, but I've seen them, and they tell you, no, they can only be alone, because if you put another fish in there, they'll kill it. They'll just keep fighting it till, one of them kills the other or whatever. I'm like, so this is a fish that just loves to fight. He's full of testosterone, and he just fights. They're called a fighting fish. I don't remember the name of it. Asian fighting fish. And usually they're like a purple or black. That figures, right? Got to make the fish that fights all the time black. But anyway, so this fish wants to fight. Well, maybe the fish is depressed because it won't let him have a friend. Has anybody tried to find out the motivation of the fish? Maybe the fish didn't have a daddy. Maybe the fish grew up in the hood. He doesn't know. The fish needs therapy. He doesn't need to be put into a state of excitation so we can find out if he could be good, for helping with neurobiology. Come on, man. Don't use the fish. That was just one crazy story that I'm thinking, who decides that fish would, why not mice? We study everything in mice. Well, Kevin, the fish genome is closer to a human than an ape. Or, well, I don't know what they would tell you, but they'll give you some reason that they have to study the fish. I go back and I look at these, I think it's called Center for Government Waste or something like that. CAGW is what I remember it being. Center Against Government Waste or something. And you can go there and see what the government is spending money on. It is mind-boggling as to how they get to spend money on this. Do you remember these late night TV things that would say, hey, if you want to get the government to fund your grant, pay $49 for our thing, and then we'll tell you how to get this grant money. And I remember saying, I'm going to go the cheap way. I'll go on the internet, see if I can find a way to do it without actually having to pay. And so I was looking at and it wasn't because I wanted to do it. It was because I wanted to see if it was legit. And you go on the internet and it tells you, right, there's many places that tells you, hey, if you want to apply for this grant, put the grant together. There's so much money out there. The government just forks it over. I want to study, why black people are so oppressed and it leads to depression, which leads to crime, blah, blah, blah. And I need $100,000 to study it on my cousin Ray Ray, and then he and Ray Ray go to, San Juan and go gambling. I don't know, but I'm telling you, I think a lot of this type of thing goes on. I want to shift gears though, because you need lots of stories for me to show you how crazy the left is. So there's a story, and it has to do with cupcakes. And I think of cupcakes and snowflakes as the new generation of millennia who've never had enough strife in their lives, so everything triggers them. Cupcakes and snowflakes. Well, in this story, it's from the Mercury News. It says it was probably the only ever example of a tiny frosted cake sparkling mass outrage. Strong negative feedback has prompted Google to remove a cupcake calorie counter from its iOS map app. The company confirmed this week. Google had recently added this cutesy little, and they say possibly half-baked, feature as an experiment. With the new feature, users saw a pink cupcake icon that automatically showed them how many calories they would burn if they walked to their destination. This app also translated the calorie count into mini cupcakes, telling walkers how many of the mini treats they would be able to burn if they walked from point A to point B. But complaints came right away. And what's funny about this to me is, one of the complaints might be, why are you using a cupcake? You're making me hungry by using a cupcake. Couldn't use a cookie. There's no pastry you should use when fat people are out walking with their app and they're looking at their app going, woo, I burned off what? So what you're saying is these fat folks ate a bunch of little bitty mini cupcakes and then you just burn them off. This is how many you need to burn them off. You can just tell me the calories and let me decide how I want to burn them off. Anyway, people got mad. Critics accused the cartoon cupcake counter of being patronizing, promoting body shaming, and possibly triggering unhealthy behavior. See, that's where I was. In people who struggle with eating disorders or overexercise. There's no way to turn the feature off, critics pointed out. So when you got the app, you were going to get treated with some cupcakes, whether you liked it or not. And I still find this story very funny. Very funny. Promote body shaming. How so? How are you promoting body shaming? Look, as I said, if I'm on a walk, I don't want to see cupcakes. It has nothing to do with my willpower or anything. Just show me a little figure walking. How about that? But if you put cupcakes, I'm not going to be mad at you. It's just that it's counterintuitive to put cupcakes. But they go on to talk about how this is what got me. Because the reason why I don't like it is because why would you tempt somebody with a food group? They're out exercising. Give them a little dude lifting a barbell or something like that. Slim them down. Show them. Go do this 15,000 more times, and this is you. Go and show them their skinny picture. Give me some motivation. But they didn't do that. But the idea that they say it promotes body shaming, I find amazing. How's this promoting body shaming? I mean, so these are the types of things that leftists do. Oh, Google put a cupcake on an app. Oh, I'm triggered. Please.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. I have a really interesting story written by a guy. I don't have his name, but I'll get it here in a second. But a great writer, great story. And it has to do with quotas in the LA school district. And here's what he says, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because it's a long read. But he says people essentially ask him how he's a Jewish kid, ended up at an all-black school, Alexander Hamilton High. They called it Hammy, and it was supposed to draw evenly from LA's white Jewish West Side and the east area east of Robertson Boulevard, the proverbial tracks, which at the time in the early 80s was predominantly black. Now, the idea is that you get 50% kids from the bad side and 50% kids from the, quote, good side. The problem was there were two whiter public schools that were nearby, Beverly Hills and a University High in Brentwood. And if the west side, the Jewish parents, could finesse their address, they'd use daddy's office building or granny's house or whatever, they'd qualify to send their kids to Beverly Hills High or University High and avoid Hammy. And they wouldn't have to pay for private school, because that's what would happen if the kid got sentenced to Hammy. It was effectively prison, so they said, no, we'll send you to private school. So Hammy ended up having heavily imbalanced racial quotas, 85% black. Now, he said it didn't matter to him. Grew up with kids and their parents, and Hammy was, quote, the black hole to be avoided at all cost. But in 1984, LA decided to crack down on the address falsifiers. So dozens of kids, all white, mostly Jewish, found themselves forcibly resettled to the east, is the way he put it. Is really funny. And he says he found that these kids that hadn't seen elementary school were looking bewildered rather, and scared when they found themselves adrift in a sea of blackness. And he said it didn't take long for the natural order to arise. The small minority of newly arrived deportees took over the school government, the theater program, and the school paper. The parents of the resettled poured money into the school's emaciated coffers. The food in the cafeteria improved. Extra security guards were hired. The auditorium got a decent sound system. The West Side parents were obsessively concerned, he said, about the kids in the school. And so they catered to it. They wanted the education to be better. He says he couldn't say that about the black parents. Fundraisers were held, though. Corporate donations were solicited, and the resulting improvements benefited everybody, including the black students. And a year later, Hammy became LA's designated musical theater magnet school to ensure that in the future, white kids would arrive voluntarily. He said back then, the white kids were wanted. It was understood that they brought good things with them, and nobody was afraid to admit it. But he says a lot changed in 3 decades. Now the Unified School District, LAUSD, is being crushed under the weight of a beast called FUBO. It's PHBAW, and it stands for Predominantly Hispanic, Black, Asian, or Other. And the point of the program is to prevent the LA Unified School District from having a population of white kids greater than 30% of the entire student body. And for the sake of what he's talking about, they measure Jewish kids as white. And so if a LAUSD school had even one student over the 30% limit, teachers were pulled and sent to a predominantly Hispanic, Black, Asian, or other school. Programs were eliminated and class sizes were increased. So it was a huge penalty if you did this. Now, most Americans were unaware that these FUBO schools existed until earlier this year, when the LAUSD initiated another race-based action. 9 schools were robbed of their football status because they dare creep above the 30% white kids quota. Walter Reed Middle School in North Hollywood was one of those schools. They had 1,665 students, 47% Hispanic, and they discovered that they had increased its white population to 38% in raw numbers. There were roughly 50 kids too many. So goodbye money, goodbye supplies and teachers, and hello increased class sizes. Now I want you to think about this. They're penalizing you because you get too many white kids. It doesn't matter that the kid, that's the demographic of the area. They're saying, nope, you're going to have more Hispanic and black kids, and that's where they're going to give you the smaller class sizes. So it's their attempt to balance things out. White kids are going to have bigger classes, less time with the teacher, etc. These other kids will end up getting theoretically smarter. That's the logic in all of this. All right. Now, needless to say, the presidents of the staff of Walter Reed believe they were not FUBO'd, but totally FUBAR, because this is one jacked up situation. So let me go move on here. So North Hollywood sits in California's 29th congressional district, and it's solidly Democrat. Hispanics outnumber whites in terms of the district's population, but whites are still the largest voting bloc. And registered Democrats greatly outnumber Republicans. So how did good liberal folks who had a stake in Walter Reed Middle School respond to the prospect of losing FUBAR money or FUBAL money? They got mad. The white parents blame the Mexicans for pretending to be white. No joke. They were like, you're pretending to be white. White parents scolded Mexican parents for listing their kids as white when enrolling them. As reported by the LA School District, a nonpartisan website devoted to covering LA school issues, Walter Reed's principal, Jean Gamba, first suspected something could be wrong with the reported race mix at her school when she was holding a parent-teacher conference with a mother who had a Latino surname. The mother had a Spanish translator provided by the district, yet the mother was identified as white. Now, if you don't understand the irony, because if you do, you're probably laughing right now, that all of this is going on in California. All right? So as reported by the LA School Report, several Jewish parents who identify as white criticize Mexican parents for doing the same. Oy gewalt, only we get to be the racial chameleons. Know your place, you sugar beaners. So the Mexican parents fought back, blaming, wait for it, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Now, you may be thinking, Kevin, you haven't mentioned Donald Trump. This is something that's been going on since 1984. Donald Trump has nothing, repeat, absolutely nothing to do with it. And I would go, you're exactly right. And that's why they blame Donald Trump. Race shifting Mexicans. They argued, and here it is. Here comes the punchline. Mexican families have no choice but to identify as white in order to escape Donald Trump's upcoming Nazi-style racist roundup of immigrants. Now, the insanity of this claim is breathtaking. If Mexican parents are right, if Trump Nazis ever come to Walter Reed Middle School to round up students who might be illegal, will they ignore obviously Latino students just because their parents checked the white box on the enrollment form? My kid's name is Jose Cienfuegos Flaco Rodriguez. His skin's brown. He only speaks Spanish. Round him up. Wait, hold on. Let's get him. His mom checked the white box. This is ridiculous. Look, do I need to tell you that, this is wrong on so many levels. Trump is going after, first of all the bad guys. And if you think you're going to get away just because you check white on a box, it's ridiculous. When it's time to deal with immigration, we should deal with it openly and honestly. But this is what these people blame. And let me tell you, the Walter Reed parents were swayed by the argument. And according to Erica Fox, a self-described white Jewish mom, in the era of Donald Trump and the fear that he has caused, I know there are families afraid of the anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim rhetoric. I worry that the data will not be accurate during his administration. So having agreed to blame Trump instead of, the leftist racial quotas, the comedy quickly skyrocketed to Benny Hill level absurdity, to Spike Milligan style surrealism, and a bunch of white parents decided to strategically falsify the racial descriptions of their children in order to solve the 50 white kids over the limit problem. He says, I know I can find, this is what they were saying, I know I can find some minority designation in my family heritage. I'll be changing my status as soon as I can, said Alexis Prescott in tears while speaking at a meeting. And they explained that the school could lose 5 teachers and a counselor, increase sizes from 34 to 39. People don't realize how this can affect schools, and we have to let people know this. This is our worst nightmare, and it's all because of Donald Trump. No, it's not because of the racial quotas that the LA Unified School District imposed for no other reason than to say we're going to limit the population of white kids in a school. And why would you do that anyway? Why? It's amazing. So Reed's parent coordinator says she already knows of more than a dozen parents who have purposely misidentified. Now, they're lying on a form, which I don't care. I check American. I tell you guys all the time, don't waste your time checking that box with a real ethnicity. Just check, write in other and put American and leave it at that. This is, folks, the kind of nonsense that the left creates, and then they want to blame us. In this case, they want to blame Donald Trump for their lunacy.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Before the Obama administration approved a controversial deal in 2010 giving Moscow control of a large swath of American uranium, the FBI had gathered substantial evidence that Russian nuclear industry officials were engaged in bribery, kickbacks, extortion, and money laundering designed to grow Vladimir Putin's atomic energy business inside the United States. According to government documents and interviews, federal agents used a confidential U.S. witness working inside the Russian nuclear industry to gather extensive financial records, make secret recordings, and intercept emails as early as 2009 that showed Moscow had compromised an American uranium trucking firm with bribes and kickbacks in violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. They also obtained an eyewitness account backed by documents indicating Russian nuclear officials had routed millions of dollars to the U.S. designed to benefit former President Bill Clinton's charitable foundation. During the time Secretary of State Hillary Clinton served on a government body that approved a favorable decision to Moscow, sources told The Hill.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I find it amazing, honestly, that the left would dare have opened up this Russian investigation. When I tell you that the left love to keep their dirt in the open because they think that we won't get it. For example, Harvey Weinstein, dirty, openly dirty. Barack Obama, well, we had a scandal-free administration. I mean, I can't think of knock on wood, if it would last few days if we don't get anything that comes up. What do you mean the last few days? Barack Obama led the most filthy, stinking, dirty, scummy administration in the history of this country. And the media was complicit. All of these white enabling bourgeois cocktail sipping leftists let him. Why? Because he's black. They couldn't let him bring down the entire system. It's the same thing I tell you about Harvey Weinstein. The reason why these young starlets and all these other people who know the litany of additional Harvey Weinsteins that lurk in Hollywood won't say a word is they won't let it bring down the system. See, for them, that system is bigger than God. It is God to them. They will let one guy take a fall. They've already taken a hit. They're like, okay, look, we've taken a hit, but we can't let people know this is throughout the entire thing. It would bring us down. Hollywood would lose all credibility, etc. Now apply that to Barack Obama. Apply that. Think of every scandal Barack Obama had as one of these little chicks on the casting couch with Harvey Weinstein, or him not letting her out the door while he, decides he's going to water the plant, if you know what I mean. That's what Barack Obama's telling you. He's essentially forced himself on us in every element of society. Obamacare was a rape of the American taxpayer, a flat out rape. So you got Obamacare, it's a rape of the taxpayer. You've got Fast and Furious, you've got Benghazi, you've got the VA scandal, you've got all these other things that are looming out there, IRS and so on and so forth. Spending money here, Iran shipping money over in the dark of night and telling you the only reason why I did it that way is they didn't have a bank. Really? I mean, they are incredible. They will just put it in your face, right in for you to see. So we've got Comey is as crooked as you could be as an FBI director. You couldn't get any more crooked. Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, they all come off with this, well, we are just trying to do what's best for the society, blah, blah, blah. That is nonsense. They don't care about kids. Look at what Harvey Weinstein did to women. Look at what Holly Weird does to children. Corey Feldman, he's not, look, if Corey Feldman shocks you with, they're molesting kids, young kids get molested in Hollywood. Really? Does it shock you that fashion models in Hollywood who hide under the skirts of Hillary Clinton and Susan Sarandon and all of them, Meryl Streep, and then molest every young girl that comes in front of them, and sometimes boys? Does that shock you of Hollywood? Because if you are paying attention to anything that I say or anybody else that's been conservative and you're listening to, none of this should shock you. The only thing that would shock you is that they've been found out. I said the other day, if Hollywood were genuine, you'd know 5 other producers and directors who are just like Harvey Weinstein. At least 5. They'd be blowing the whistle like crazy. They say nothing. How many people? Do you think Susan Rice didn't know about unmasking? What about this Samantha Stone lady or whatever her name is? You think she didn't know? Oh, it came from on high. Okay, then tell us who gave you the order. They won't tell you who's doing what because they don't want you to know. They do not want to bring down their system. That's the problem. Do you think these people are going to allow us to just willy-nilly walk all over what they're doing? This thing, this facade they set up about Barack Obama. Do you think they're going to go, well, we do understand that, Barack Obama's been a little bit different. He's definitely done some bad things. They will go down with this guy. He will not be their Harvey Weinstein of politics. I don't know who will be, but it will not be Barack Obama. So that's the deal. Now, what's going to happen? I don't know. I have no idea. We've got them right where we want them. Their credibility is shot. That's the reason why they can't go further. That's the reason why Hollywood won't go further. That's the reason why, the left didn't go further. We have the goods on them politically as well. We have the goods on them. And so while Hillary Clinton's running around on book tours, James Comey on book tours, Barack Obama is just getting his book done. He's got a fat book deal. He's going to be running around. They're tweeting. They're all trying to get in on the Twitter action and talk about all these various issues. They're under fire, and the last thing they should be doing is being vocal about this. Just their ties to Weinstein enough should make them run for cover, but they won't. Make no mistake about it. They will not run for cover. They are going to keep it exactly as it was. They got to leave it. Because if we know the truth about Barack Obama in politics, many people would never vote for a Democrat again. And not only that, to do it in a time of Trump where you have to admit to yourself that Donald Trump is right, that's a huge problem for them. Bigger than they would ever want to admit. Donald Trump is draining the swamp. When he talked about the swamp, it was legit. It was for real. Oh, man. Big time problem. But now get this. With everything that's going on in the country, Hillary Clinton, who should be in prison, we now find out that she had a huge part of this bogus nuclear energy deal that was brokered while she was Secretary of State, and Bill Clinton was involved, and their foundation got over, like $143 million, right? I mean, Barack Obama let it happen. We ceded 20% of our uranium to the Soviet Union. We know that those guys were paying off people that were involved in it over here. Who knows where it's all going to shake out? I'm not going to try to shake it out. I'll let it shake out for itself. But whoever knows about it, what I'll tell you is this. They have their fingers all over the Russian stuff, and Mueller hadn't said a word about it. He's chasing satellites like Paul Manafort, calling grand juries for Manafort, knowing that that Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, all these people are involved. Podesta, you name it. Fingerprints all over it. But he can't find any forensic evidence. Fingerprints, they got saliva samples, they got hair, they got blood, they got you couldn't make it any better of a crime scene than what the Democrats have done with the Russians, and he's chasing Trump. And what is Hillary contemplating? Teaching at Columbia University. Yep, that's what rumors are, that she wants to return to academia as a professor. This is what the Daily News reported. The former U.S. Secretary of State, presidential nominee, is in talks with Columbia University to take on a formal role at the Ivy League and potentially house her at the Ivy League, I guess college, and potentially house her archives there. She can't get a library, a presidential library, so she'll say, I'll house my archives here if you'll let me. Let me tell you something, folks. People are going to be running, mark my words, within a year, 2 years max. Leftists will be running from the legacies of the Clintons, from the legacy of Barack Obama. They'll be running from the legacy of the left. Donald Trump has called these people out for what they are, and when he's done with them, there will be hardly a person that really says I'm off there. There'll be people talking about, I'm really upset with what happened with the Democrats. If you're going to stay a Democrat, you're going to have to rationalize it. Because I'm here to tell you, you're not going to want to be one. Trust and believe, folks. Hillary Clinton's got some nerve. Columbia University will rescind whatever offer they're considering for her. Mark my words.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Hillary Clinton wants to teach at Columbia University. If you want to call it that. She wants to teach. She wants to school some youngins. Let them understand what politics and life is all about. I don't know what the details are. She'll move her archives there. Closest thing she'll get to a presidential library. I talked about this before the close of the last hour. And why shouldn't she want to do this? Follow in Warren's footsteps, except going backwards. It's funny how Hillary Clinton wants to teach at Columbia, which is where Barack Obama got his first decent Ivy League education, if you want to call it that. Elizabeth Warren, who was from Wackadamia, she was in Wackadamia for a while, so why shouldn't Hillary Clinton follow in her footsteps? Because Warren left academia to become a U.S. senator. Barack Obama went to Columbia, became a senator, became president. Well, Hillary Clinton has finally decided, I'm never going to be president, so why don't I just backtrack? And it's worked for both of them. They're both frauds. Look at Barack Obama, the biggest fraud to ever occupy the White House. Elizabeth Warren, the biggest fraud, one of the biggest frauds to ever occupy the Senate. Stolen identity, deprived some, quote, Native American of the ability to pull herself out of poverty. The mother of all things impoverished didn't look for ways to help the families who lost their homes, but enriched almost her entire family with, using her status as a Native American to get loans and things that she would have never gotten as a white woman. Evil white woman. Must be nice to fake your way through life as an Indian in order to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a year teaching, finger quotes, and then loan money to family members who were making money on other people's misery. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but what Warren would do is go buy these distressed houses in these distressed house sales, finance them for her family members, and they'd flip them for profit. So not only is she making money on the misery of Indians, the indigenous folks, she's making money on poor folks that are losing their homes. So what nationality should Hillary Clinton declare if she decides she's going to teach at Columbia? No, I'm an Asian woman. No, don't do that. Don't do Asian. Unless you do Eskimo. Will she choose Native American like Elizabeth Warren? Or will Clinton pull a Rachel Dolezal and just go for the gusto? I'm now a black woman teaching at Columbia University. Or will Hillary Clinton just maintain her elite white Democrat status and profit like, well, a Clinton? Why buck the system when it works so well for you? The Clinton Foundation, Columbia campus. I like the sound of that. It has a good ring to it. And know that the Clintons will establish an adjunct university in where else but Haiti. They must do this, because if they don't, as James Carville declared, how will the world survive without the Clinton Foundation? Now that this organization is rightly under fire, James Carville told us back in the day, if the Clinton Foundation goes away, people will die. They're saving lives, these people. The Clintons are coming up with vaccines, cures for AIDS and malaria. I mean, what would the world do without the Clinton Foundation? Oh, I don't know. Be better off? Anyway, the good of the Clinton Foundation far outweighs the bad is what we were told at the time. So obviously, Hillary Clinton going to Columbia, the good will obviously outweigh the bad. It has to, shouldn't it? She's a Clinton, for goodness sake. Royalty. White trash royalty. And I love when Carville said, the Clintons, they never took a nickel from that foundation. Never took a nickel. Well, where'd they get all that money? Oh, that's right, from the speaking engagements. Oh, yeah, it's kind of like that Russian deal where Hillary negotiates a big nuclear sell-off of American uranium, and Bill goes over there and speaks for millions of dollars. And on top of that, they donate $143 million to the Clinton Foundation. Well, as I said, I hope Columbia is smart enough to let everything that's going on with this situation get vetted before they do further damage to their reputation by, involve. I mean, they've already got Barack Obama as a native son. Do you really want a Clinton? Do you really want Hillary Clinton? This is not going to end up well. Anyway, we got a ton to talk about. We will be talking about the uranium deal. There's another set of accusers out there for young girls. And I think that if you play this out, you'll find out the people involved with this are leftist. Total leftist. We've got did we talk about Larry Flint? I don't think we did. We haven't talked about him, right? Yeah, it's a bit of an older story, but it's still it's got some relevancy to what we're going to be talking about. So I think we'll talk about that as well. And Judicial Watch is back in the news. Anyway, tons to talk about. I want to talk about the things that the left have destroyed. Because we could easily be talking about all the wonderful things that are happening in this country since Donald Trump was elected. And I'm not talking about took officially over. I'm talking about the moment he was elected. All the things they told us that were going to go awry. The stock market was going to crater. The economy was going to crater. And I could go on, right? All these things that were going to be bad. That Donald Trump was a loose cannon. We'd be in a nuclear war. We'd be in more wars, etc. I see everything, practically everything that the left said to a topic has been opposite. Stock market through the roof, unemployment way down, businesses investing again, consumer confidence up. We've gone through it. If I do any more, I sound like a cheerleader, and all I'm doing is giving you the facts. I'm not going to say I don't care what Trump does, but there's no dog in the fight for me with Trump. If he does good, he does good. But he's doing good. And we're talking about very little of it. Very little of it. We're still mired in this stuff. Now, that's the good news. The good news is when the light shines on the cockroaches on the left, when they can no longer run and hide from all the malfeasance they've created since Trump's election, then we get to focus on the good. And that's not going to be good for them. In fact, it's quite the opposite. More when we get back. Keep it here, folks.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now,